What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the End Zone. We're back here with Coach Phil Reacts, and this is probably going to be one of the best CFL shows. One, because I'm wearing nice clothes, and two, Coach Phil's got Elks content, and three, the CFL schedule this week is the best we've seen almost all year. It might be because the Elks aren't playing, so we've got great matchups all along. But in the Elks bye week, they continue to get the headlines. First, they've got these new awesome helmets that I do want to talk a little bit about. With a new indigenous logo, which was created by Conrad Plews, a local artist with a Cree background. So I think that's super cool. And then, of course, the Trey Ford situation, the young Canadian quarterback. Coach Phil, what we got? What's going on around the Elks franchise right now?
Man, they finally listened. They finally heard what everybody was talking about, man, and the frustration. And I think they can't fight it no longer. They try to stand it off, but that last performance against BC exposed everything. You couldn't write a better script. They broke the record for most consecutive home losses. Chris Jones can't deny anything. So it's good to see that they've made some changes. I'm very happy for that, and that they're listening to the fan base and the organization actually taking the time to understand, like, look, we need to make some changes. We need to cop a squad or get off right now, man, because it was rough.
Yeah, and it's been a rough season, and I don't know if they're going to get a win this year. It's just Trey Ford's got to be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it'll be interesting. Let's move on to the quick rankings, and if you're in the chat, comment your rankings if you've got them, if you have an opinion. I think these are pretty solid right now, but I don't really know like if they're power rankings. I'd understand having the Tie Cats down below because although they got a win in their win, they pretty much paid the price for it at the end of the game. Did you watch that one?
I didn't see the exact play. When I did the highlights, but I heard about it. Everybody was telling me about it. So they can't catch a break.
No, I've never seen that happen too on the final play of the game where they're just trying to run out time. If you didn't watch, Bo Levi Mitchell comes back off of the 6-game reserve from an injury earlier in the season, and he wins the game, although it wasn't the greatest performance. I think he had 5 turnovers, but he still won. A dub is a dub. And on the final play of the game, they were backed up on their own goal line. So he had to QB sneak it to just give them time to quarterback kneel it. And he rushed under center, the CFL style. And he just gets landed on, and he's on the 6-game injured list now. I think it's a broken leg or something bad. It looked disgusting. I had to turn my TV off because I just hate watching injuries like that. And it didn't look good. But the Tiger Cats get a win, and at number 9. But then the BC Lions, they're without their starting quarterback, and they're playing Winnipeg this weekend, which is going to be an incredible game. So we'll get that solved. But I think if it's a power ranking, then I would say BC right now without Vernon Adams, although Dane Evans looked good last week against the Elks. I still think that Winnipeg is a better team right now, and I think that we're going to see that this weekend. So I get it's power rankings, so it's not really based off your schedule, but I'd like to see some consistency. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I mean, obviously nobody's going to take the top spot from Toronto right now. I mean, they're on a roll right now. BC, on paper and everything, they're showing it, man, that they deserve to be the second team. Winnipeg's coming back this week. They got a big game against BC. Montreal, they're cool. They're where they are. Ottawa, they're going to bounce back. Calgary got a good they had a tough one. My Rough Riders.
Really? Was it tough? I was watching.
It was, well. But Rough Riders, obviously, my Rough Riders, they're where they need to be right now. Until we start tackling, we need to be where we are. Hamilton, I'm surprised we're above Hamilton. I'm very surprised about that.
I know that's, and again, I'm not going to lose sleep over the number 7th and 8th ranked teams in
Yeah,
the CFL,
right.
but like I don't know. I feel like Taylor Powell is still a pretty solid quarterback, and he'll still. I mean, obviously, we'll find out this weekend. There's some pretty important games, so it's definitely interesting, up for debate here. But I think the other rankings in places like Toronto, number 1, that's a given. I think the Red Blacks are in a pretty good spot. Calgary, they're in a weird spot, losing to Ottawa, so they're like good, but they're not good at the same time. And I don't think that I I don't know how this season's going to end. I don't think it'll end well.
Yeah,
But they're definitely better than the Ticats and the
yeah.
Rough Riders and the Elks. So it's like it's weird.
The thing with Calgary, man, is they on paper and just what you see on tape, they look good. They look like a good team, and Mayer's finally showing some type of that he's got a good presence in there, man. He's throwing the ball very, very well. But this game that they had against Montreal was just it was a weird game. It was just like only one touchdown for Montreal didn't even score a touchdown. That was weird to see it. They still won the game just based off of their defense, and it was a field goal parade everywhere. Field goals all over the place. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
And they ran the ball well too.
Mm-hmm.
I think Stanbeck, pulling up the stats real quick.
Yeah.
15 carries, 86 yards for 5.7 yards per carries. And Cody Fajardo didn't carry the ball that much, but like his presence was felt. And he also passed pretty well. I mean, he didn't turn it over. Jake Mayer did, I believe, twice. So
Well, Cody looked really good, man. I'm starting to
yeah,
like that. He's getting the ball out quicker. There was a couple possessions where he was good. They were set in the house, and Cody has that tendency of holding on to the ball too long because Moss wants to drop him back 5-step drops, and it's like, dude, just get the ball out. And he made some good completions. He did his job, so it was what it was.
yeah. And the Alouettes, like, they look good. I mean, they're far behind in the East, considering the Argonauts are 6-0, but it's a good football team. Like, they're really solid, Like, I enjoy watching them.
I agree to that.
Go over to our quick honor roll from Pro Football Focus. Some of the guys standing out. They have the audacity to give. I think that they should make a rule at PFF. You can't make the honor roll if your team is playing against the Edmonton Elks because you're guaranteed to have the most players on the highest grades.
You know what? Pro Football Focus just frustrates me sometimes because the stuff that they be doing, man, they just be throwing anybody on there because of who they like in the moment. It's not consistent. It's always who's hot. I understand it's who's hot, who's doing their thing, but come on, like you said, I would like to see some consistency, man. Like quarterbacks changing. Yes, the quarterback spot changes on the honor roll. I get that. Dane Evans, good spot. James Butler, JB's doing his thing.
Yeah.
But some of these, man, and Gary Peters, yes, on there. Pickett, yes. But dang, all right. It is what it is.
Yeah, well, this is what I'll say about Pro Football Focus, and I know more about American football than CFL football, and I follow a lot of their college grades because I'm a huge college football fan, and I know people who are either scouts or coaches like in the industry, and a lot of people, the consensus is Pro Football Focus is incredible for data collection. Like if you want to know missed tackles, things like that, where the quarterback is throwing the ball, drops, all the stuff that's needed for data collection. They do a really, really good job. But that doesn't also mean that they're the greatest evaluators of football and talent.
No, I think that, if there's a difference between watching football and watching football. And if you numbers are what they are. Data is important, but the data doesn't always represent what you see on film. And from film, man, there's a lot of guys that come on the honor roll list, man, and they have subpar games, but they pick out a couple things that they did well, man. I need to see, like I said, I need to see more consistency from who they're picking.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I tell people on my channel all the time, like I'm I report football news and I'll like give my opinion, but I'm not like claiming to be the Nostradamus of football. Like I don't
Same.
know all the plays, everything. But I feel like people just want that genuine because a lot of people, not even just on like YouTube, but like people at ESPN and Fox
Mm.
are fans, but they act like or they try to make it seem like they know the game. I'm not going to name any names, but it's just a lot of the talking heads, you know,
Yeah. I
like you
think
could tell.
you mentioned, like, you with pro football, you really like understand pro football focus a lot. I early on in my channel, I was gonna do when they did their draft list, and they had Spencer Rattler as like the number one quarterback going into the draft, and then you saw what happened. He dropped off the face of the earth. So their preseason stuff, and I'm like, dude, it sounds good in theory what you're saying, but let's hold off on that preseason. Like, he's gonna be the number one pick and he's gonna be this and all that jargon. Like, man, let them play first, and then we can attest to what they're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally agree. Don't even get me started on preseason rankings, especially in college football, dude. Don't
Yeah,
even get me started. All
yeah.
right, before I start, let's get into what we talked about as probably the best weekends
Ooh,
of CFL football in terms of slate. Now, we got to see what the play is like, but the Elks are not playing,
thank
which
God.
means every game is going to be fairly competitive. And not just because of that, but like each game that you go through and we're going to talk about, like we could be in for a really good game for a variety of reasons. So we'll start with BC at Winnipeg. What you got, Coach Phil?
Okay, so BC and Winnipeg. BC went into Winnipeg and they just slaughtered them. It was shocking the first time they played them. Now they get a second. Winnipeg gets a second chance to go up against them. Now they don't have Vernon Adams. They do have Dane Evans at quarterback. I do believe that the way that BC plays Winnipeg, it's always going to be a good matchup. Even last year when they had Nathan Rourke, it was still great matchups. I think with the difference is going to be whose defense is going to create turnovers and put the offense in position to score. That's going to be the key. I really like BC's secondary. I love their defense. Shout out to Coach Ryan Phillips, man, the defensive coordinator Ryan Phillips. He dials up some things that just confuses the quarterbacks. And he's going up against obviously the reigning MLP in Zach Collaros, and that offense they got with Kenny Lawler now back. They got obviously a great run game. Their offense is complete, but can you put Winnipeg in a position to make turnovers? That's all. It's going to be the defense, man. That's all.
Yeah. And I was listening to the Three Down Nation podcast. By the way, they do a great job. If you're not listening to them, what are you doing? But they talked also about really interesting point. Number one, this is off an off week, so that's good. And number two, when you look at the standings, and I noticed this before, like the importance of this game for Winnipeg, like they have to beat the Lions if they want home field advantage in the playoffs. So it's all about rising to the occasion
Mm-hmm.
for them. So I think that that's one reason why this week is important because it's not necessarily a playoff game, but it's a game that means something for the playoffs. Because like you said, they already dropped that first game at the Lions. It was pretty bad too.
Oh yeah.
And this game is like revenge, home field. They're talking about that in the locker room, how much
Oh
this game means. So and home field advantage. First of all, it's at Winnipeg, so it's a lot of things that like line up for me to buy into. And Dane Evans, it's not Vernon Adams, so but Dane Evans is good. That's the thing. Like it's not like Dane Evans is bad, but
yeah.
I think Vernon Adams is obviously better.
I think with this one, it's going to another thing that's going to be a focal point, something we all should focus on with this game. Is going to be the run game. who's going to make a difference in the run game, who's going to, with Shivers running the ball for BC, and then you got obviously Dembski and Oliveira. They're going to run the ball, and they also have the other running back, Greg. Do you know his last name? Greg. He had the really nice punt return against Calgary. I can't remember his last name off the top of my head, but he's a game changer. He changes the game for them with speed. When you already got the power with Dembski, you already got the power with Oliveira. It's going to be whose run game steps up as well.
Greg McCrae.
There you go, Greg McCrae.
Yeah, and as somebody just commented, and I pinned their comment, Kenny Lawler is absolutely fantastic. Like their receiving core has got Dalton Schoen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're really, I think that they're deep. And like this is a team that I could easily see, although like Toronto is the favorite team. Like this is a playoff team that is definitely really, really good and could easily beat Toronto.
This is the West Final right here. This is the West Final.
Yeah.
We all know what's going to happen. And we saw last year in the playoffs how much it meant for Winnipeg to have that home field in the snow. And even though the game came down to the wire and it was that last drive with Nathan Rourke, if Winnipeg has the home field, man, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Yeah, exactly. It's so important. All right, let's move on to our next game, Toronto at Calgary. I already know who I'm picking as a Toronto fan. As a Calgary fan, excuse me. I'm picking Toronto.
Yeah. With this one, it's very interesting with this one right here. The momentum. Can Toronto keep the momentum going? I will say with Calgary's defense going up against Chad Kelly, can Chad handle the pressure when they do send the house? Is Chad going to be caught up with the edge rushers closing in on him, getting 3 yards up and closing him in, not allowing him to roll out, not allowing him to go through his play action and make plays? Because a lot of their plays do come off of just the play action, very similar to Winnipeg. So it all is all going to come down to, can Calgary get pressure on Chad, and can Toronto stay balanced with their team? That's all it is to them. Their offense is so balanced with great run game. They got really solid receivers. They got Gittins, they got Cam Phillips, they got some weapons there. And then Coach
got my guy DeVar Daniels.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be a fun one to see that one too, man.
In Calgary right now, 0-3 at home. I think they're gonna fall 0-4. Next game, Montreal and Hamilton. That's right. I want to get through that one really quickly because it pains me. Montreal and Hamilton. This one could be interesting.
It's frustrating with me with Hamilton because on paper, man, they have just as much a competitive team, a complete team as Toronto, BC, and Winnipeg. The issue is that quarterback position. That's the only thing that's stopping them from being up there. To me, that's what I see. So I think I'm gonna go with Hamilton on this one.
Really?
Yes, I'm a ride. I'm a ride with Hamilton just off the fact that Powell did play a good game. He did look all right. Another week to get better. JB's gonna run the ball. Tim White, Duke Williams. It's there. It's there.
Yeah, and like also Hamilton. I think they thought Bo Levi. And unfortunately, Bo Levi is injury prone right now, and some people were commenting in our live chat that maybe he might retire soon because he's getting old. But of course, I don't know what's going to happen. But like when you look at this team, especially offensively, like they're loaded at a lot of positions. You got James Butler, then at wide receiver, Kai Loxley, Deaquill Williams, Auburn guy, Tim White, Terry Godwin. Like this does feel like a team that is a quarterback away. And I know that a lot of people use that and it gets overused, but like next year and even this year, they can still make a push. Like they're third right now at 3-4. And this is a huge game. Obviously, when you look at the standings, Alouettes are 3-3, Ticats 3-4. So like Yeah, I think it's anybody's game.
Uh,
Um,
there's one more thing I do want to add though, as well, if you don't mind. One
yeah,
of the things I do notice with Hamilton, it comes down to their play calling. I know their offensive coordinator really wants to show a lot of this. They throw a lot of screens, and Kyle Loxley actually fits the role very, very well. And he showed it when they played against Ottawa. He was all over the place. So if they do open up the playbook a little more and take some shots downfield, I don't know how comfortable they feel with Powell doing that, but you can't just rely on the screens. If that's your bread and butter, by all means use it. But open up the playbook a little more. Do
mhm.
something.
Yeah. Don't make it so predictable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Last game before we get off the stream and what's been an exciting one. Ottawa at your Saskatchewan Roughriders.
We've been at this almost 3 weeks, man, and for some reason we just can't get our stuff together. All right, here's what I think. What's gonna come down to for us with Saskatchewan, first of all, with Saskatchewan, man, we gotta tackle. We gotta tackle, man. I've been saying this. We we can't tackle a squirrel. We can't do a chicken. We can't tackle a chicken. We can't do nothing when it comes to that. But I have faith in Mason Fine. I believe that this could be a good matchup for us. However, Ottawa, man, Ottawa is such a sleeper team, man. I love what they're doing, man. They're going to bounce back from their tough loss. And I'm going to roll with my Rough Riders once again, but I'm not going to be surprised if Ottawa comes in and they shock us.
Yeah. No, this game I think is going to be really fun. Like this might be my most anticipated game because it's between two teams who really, really are itching for wins.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could say that for a lot of matchups this week's, and that's what makes it so exciting. But the storyline of Dustin Crum, and then now all the talks about Mason Fine, about whether he's the guy
Yeah.
or not, which like say what you want about him, but it's not like he's had much help. Like he can't do anything about the defense not tackling. Well, you want Mason Fine to go coach up the corners and the defensive linemen and the linebackers and the safeties on how to tackle. Like there's nothing he can do about it. Although his play hasn't been fantastic, it's like it's a weird situation that Saskatchewan is in right now.
We're in such a weird situation, bro. It's like I look at the team. We have a makeshift offensive line. We've got a defense that sometimes is inept at. We can get turnovers. Our DBs are solid. It's inside the box where we struggle. As far as the quarterback situation goes, man, even in the loss against Toronto, Mason Fine did look okay. He didn't look great. He didn't look good. He was okay. He got the ball. We need to feed Sean Bain Jr. the ball. Get him. He's had back-to-back games with 10 catches. Keep feeding him the ball. And we need to get Jamal Morrow into the run game a little more, although we're not creating holes for him on the offensive line. And that defensive line with Ottawa, just their defense in general, man, they're nice defense. Nice. So it all just depends, man. This is a toss-up one. But it's going the first game with BC and Winnipeg is the marquee game to start the week, but to end the week with Ottawa and Saskatchewan, these are some good games, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna be glued to my TV for one of the games, and then two are on CBS Sports Network. No, three.
Wow.
Is that? Sorry, I'm gonna have to move your question, Brendan, real quick, just to look at the. Yeah, three are on, and then the one game, Toronto and Calgary, I'll watch on my computer. Bronson Tufts has a question. Hope I pronounced your name correctly. Should the Riders start De La Gala over Fine? Seems like De La Gala has more upside to his game. I will say this, like Fine hasn't been horrible. Like this year we've seen way more worse quarterback play that hasn't been replaced. Edmonton Elks, but like maybe see how the first half goes, but don't start like give Fine this game to start, because this could be a good game for him to start at home against Ottawa. Really a good defense, maybe one that he could prove himself on, and give him a chance.
I think with this one for Mason Fine, it's a confidence booster. He does need to have a game where he can go into it with the belief that, all right, I can get the job done. He hasn't really had a game yet where he's able to. The first game he came in was when Trevor got hurt. Then we had against Toronto. Now we got this one. This is the one where he is the playing field is level with both teams. So the game is going to be tense. It's going to be a pressure situation. There's going to be possessions where he's going to have to make plays on second down, get the ball out, make plays, and trust and have the belief that the guys, his receivers, are going to get open in against the zone. Is the run game going to be there? If the run game ain't there, Mason's going to have to throw the ball way more. So
yeah, and if the run game's not there, like the play between De La Gala and Fine, it's like, what's the difference going to be? Honestly, like if the run game's not there, what's the difference going to make? And I don't want to judge Fine after traveling to touchdown Atlantic and playing against the buzzsaw that is the Toronto Argonauts and not having a good game, where the whole team played poorly. Like it wasn't just him too.
Right.
It wasn't just him.
Yeah.
All right. Y'all know to follow Coach Phil Reacts. He's got even more CFL content all week long. Follow him. Post it in the comments at Coach Phil. Coach Phil, you can tell people a little about what you do.
For those that have not really had a chance to check out my channel, I do CFL reactions, but I've been opening up a lot more, doing different things. I do react to docu-series that teams post. I'm doing Beneath the Blue right now for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I've done Behind the R for the Ottawa Red Blacks. I do Throwback Thursday, where I react to old Grey Cups, player highlights, different things like that. I do university games for Football Canada as well. And I will be coming to town for the Labor Day Classic, so I'm going to do an entire vlog, my first ever vlog for that entire weekend. So that video is going to be it's going to be a crazy one. So I'm really excited about that. I'm almost to 1K, so we're going to have a little celebration for that one soon. So come check it out, y'all.
Let's go. Awesome. I enjoyed the show. I think this is one of our best. It's been only getting better and better, getting that chemistry up, and on a weekend with just insanely good games. Thanks for watching the End Zone, everybody. Make sure to move the chains while you're out there with whatever you do, and see you another time.
All right. Take it easy.